You're welcome to our discussion of terrestrial habitats. We already talked about aquatic habitats in the last videos. So the aquatic habitats, according to what we said, had its divisions. We even discussed wetlands along with aquatic habitats. So here we'll talk about wetlands. Now the terrestrial habitat has three divisions. Life on land, three different forms. We have forests, we have grasslands, we have arid lands. The arid lands are the desert, and they are the other extreme of the forest. While the forests have very high rainfall and are wet, the arid lands or deserts have near zero rainfall. The grasslands are like a connection, a link between the forest and the arid lands, in between the two extremes. Now, an interesting difference between these three types of terrestrial habitats is in the vegetation type and the rainfall. In terms of rainfall, I already said that you have the highest rainfall here and the lowest rainfall here. Now, in terms of vegetation, you have the highest population of plants here and the lowest there. So the forests are richly endowed with plant life as well as animal life. But for the deserts, plants are near zero, and the same is true of animals. Now, looking at forests, there are two types of forests. We have the tropical forest and we have the temperate forest. Now, tropical and temperate are two words that we use to describe hot and cold generally. So the hot forest, the forest where the temperatures are usually higher, we call them the tropical forests, such as the forest in our own nation, around us, even in the states where I'm talking from. And then the temperate forests are usually colder. Now, for the temperate forests, we can have them as decidual and we can have them as coniferous, two types of forests or two types of temperate forests. The deciduous, not decidual now, deciduous, we call them deciduous based on the term or based on the fact that this type of forest has trees that shed their leaves in winter. So when trees shed their leaves in winter, we say such trees are deciduous trees. And examples of such trees include the maple, and then we have things like the oak, we have things like the beech. The examples of trees that are deciduous. Then coniferous forests, those ones contain trees that do not shed their leaves. They are evergreen all through. So examples of such trees would include the pine, the fir, and even the spruces. Spruces are examples of coniferous trees, and we find them in the coniferous type of temperate forests. Now, for the tropical forest, the plants we have there, the trees we have there, are very tall, and these trees usually occur in layers. We have the ground layer, we have the forest floor, where we find things like ferns, we find things like algae and fungi. They are all present at the ground or the forest floor. And then beyond that, you have a lower layer, you have a middle layer, you have an upper layer of trees. And of course, in the lower layer, you find more of shrubs. In the middle layer, you can see shrubs, the tall shrubs, and some shade-loving trees. And then beyond that, you get to the upper layer where you have taller trees. And these taller trees are usually larger, greater in number. You have a large population of them staying very close together. And because they are very close together, what do we find about their crowns? Their crowns are very close, so that they form what we refer to as a canopy. They are more like the usual canopy we are used to at events. So as these trees are close together, like I said, the trees of the upper layer, now not middle or lower layer, upper layer, they form a canopy. But there are some other trees that push beyond this canopy, more like they emerge from it. So we call them the emergents. They form a fifth layer. So we have 5 layers or 5 stories, from the ground floor, the forest floor, to the lower layer, to the upper, middle layer, to the upper layer, and then to the emergents. So the emergents are the tallest and could even reach heights of up to 60 meters. All of those are found in the forests, the tropical forest precisely. Now, these plants that we have in tropical forest, the trees, they have some particular attributes. For example, talking about their leaves are usually broad. The trees are evergreen, so the leaves are always there. They are not shed at any point. And then again, if you come to the trunk is usually straight and slender. Their roots, you see them having prop roots, and then very commonly buttress roots. Trees you find in this region will include things like the Iroko tree, you have the almond tree, you have the oil palm tree, and so on. All of those are trees that are found in tropical forests. And then for the animal life, you find things like snakes, you find lions, you find antelopes, you find grass cutters, you find rabbits, you find a large variety, elephants, different kinds of animals in the tropical rainforest. So like I said earlier, it has a rich stock of plant and animal life. Same thing you find in the temperate forests. However, coming to the grasslands, you discover that you have fewer trees. The trees are not as abundant as you have them in the forest. As a matter of fact, they are gradually replaced by grasses. So first, in terms of rainfall, the rainfall there is higher than what you have here. Then, under the grasslands themselves, you expect, like we already said, that the tropical grassland or the savanna would be hotter or warmer than the temperate grassland. Then in terms of seasons, the temperate grassland usually has summer and winter. Now interestingly, the summer is usually hot and wet, while the winter is cold and dry. However, in the tropical grasslands, you don't have winter, summer, you don't have such alternations. Instead, there is a distinct rainy season and a distinct dry season. Now, in terms of the vegetation in the grassland, unlike the forest where you have more of trees and then the forest floor does not really have grasses, here forest floors usually lack grasses because of the canopies. Those canopies do not allow sunlight to reach the forest floor. So the forest floor in most instances is bare. But here, the trees are fewer, they are more spaced out, and that means enough sunlight gets to the floor, and that makes for the development or the growth of grasses. So in the tropical savanna, or tropical grassland or temperate grassland, you see grasses. Unlike trees, you see more of grasses. Now for the tropical grasslands or savanna, typically we talk about Guinea savanna, Sudan savanna, Sahel savanna. Now this is like a spectrum, it's like going downhill, such that if we do something like this is Guinea, this is Sudan, and that's Sahel. In terms of the heights of the trees, Guinea savanna still has trees, unlike Sudan has some trees and then more shrubs. But when you get to the Sahel, you don't see trees or shrubs. Then what about the grasses? The grasses in the Guinea savanna are still the tallest, followed by the Sudan, and then by the Sahel, the grasses are very short. All of these differences can be attributed to their rainfall. So Guinea savanna receives the highest rainfall of these three. As a matter of fact, the Sahel savanna borders the arid lands, the deserts, very close to the desert, so it has some of the attributes of the deserts. Then, for the arid lands or deserts, those, as the name implies, they are arid, they are dry lands. You have very low rainfall and very high temperatures. These arid lands or deserts may be divided into two types, namely the tropical deserts and the temperate deserts. So you see that all the way we have tropical and we have temperate. Now the tropical deserts are hotter than the temperate deserts. In fact, the tropical deserts will be so terrible that a whole year there's no rainfall. The tropical desert is usually located at latitudes between 50 and 30 degrees north and south. Whereas on the other hand, the temperate deserts, like I said, have rainfall. Yeah, rainfall occurs every year. There's hardly a year without rainfall in the temperate desert. So the temperate desert, yes, it's hot, but not as hot as the tropical desert. And then in terms of plant life in the deserts is near zero. Why? Because inavailability of water is a problem for plants. They hardly survive. The only few plants that can survive in the deserts are plants that can do without water, plants that either have a mechanism for storing water or have developed very good roots to be able to reach very great depths rather, in search of water. So such plants are able to grow things like the cactus. The cactus is a very good example of desert plants. Of course, it is able to conserve water because it doesn't have leaves and will not lose water through transpiration. Now, beyond that, the animals in the deserts, you find more of reptiles that are able to cope, and then some few instances animals like camels that have a mechanism for storing water. But generally, the biggest problem animals have in the desert is desiccation, the dry up, shortage of water. So even humans face a very huge problem when they find themselves in the desert. Then on this side, I added something, tundra. Tundra is sometimes referred to as cold desert. Yes, because it doesn't support life, same way a desert does not support life. They are both extremes. While the desert is extremely hot, the tundra is extremely cold. So tundra refers to extremely cold habitats where temperatures can dip to as low as -15 degrees Celsius in some instances. So in a tundra, the soil is usually frozen. And with such frozen soil, plants cannot develop. You know, the water in the soil, salt water, becomes frozen. In some instances, you don't even see the soil. What you see is ice all over the place. So that at the end of the day, you have a situation where plants cannot grow. Plants cannot germinate. They don't grow. They don't exist in such areas. Although a few plants like the cedar, the cedars have this ability to adapt to such environments. And then for animals too, many animals cannot exist there, just as they cannot exist in the desert. But of course, you have a few animals who have adapted to such life, such as the polar bears. Polar bears, because of their thick fur, are able to, enjoy some level of insulation so that they do not suffer the effects of these extremes of temperature as much as other animals would have. So that is tundra, just by the way. And like I said, tundra habitats, tundra vegetation is commonly referred to as the cold desert. So by way of summary, we've seen terrestrial habitats, three forms: forest, tropical, and forest, grasslands, and arid lands. And in each case, we have tropical and temperate. Which one is warmer or hotter? Yes, tropical. So temperate is colder. Then for forest, we said you have more of trees, you have high rainfall. You come to grasslands, the trees are shorter, the grasses are taller, you have the rainfall dropping. You get to deserts, what do you find? Rainfall is near zero. In some instances, a whole year no rain. Here, of course, you have rain in some, nearly every year or every year. And then, of course, you remember we talked about the fact that temperate grasslands can be deciduous or coniferous. You remember the difference? Shedding their leaves. That's for deciduous. These ones are evergreen. Then we came to grasslands. We went from Guinea to Sudan to Sahel, and what did we find? Yes, the grasses were getting shorter. They are shortest here, they are tallest there. What about the trees? They were getting shorter and more sparsely distributed, so that by the time we got to Sahel, what did we find? No more trees. So that is how we conclude this video on habitats. Thank you for watching.